Are we gonna do the?
It's up to you. I think I will.
All right, let's do the. We'll start with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. This is our first work session, and we are streaming, I believe, today. And I do want to reverse the order of our agenda here today. I might add, on my right is Commissioner Cook, and on my left is Commissioner Mays, and I'm Commissioner Bill Rippon. First, I'd like to discuss the just kind of our procedures and how we're going to do these work session meetings. Jim, I know, has a few comments about what we can or can't do. So you want to start us off here?
Absolutely. Jim Krause, Shawnee County Councilor, for the record. As you've heard me say before, we already currently exceed in many ways what COMA requires. And when you really get down to it, COMA doesn't require that much for public meetings, for public bodies and how they conduct their public meetings. And if you don't believe me, just go to the Kansas Attorney General website and type in the Kansas Open Meetings Act and read their frequently asked questions. Most of the main questions are addressed in that section, but we're not required to even publish an agenda of meetings. We're not required to stream our meetings. We're not required to have public comment during meetings, all of which we currently do during our action item meetings. And so the issue is, do we want to have some of the issues facing you this morning to decide? And you can decide to do it a certain way today. You can decide later on, hey, that isn't working, or here's a new idea, let's try that and try it differently. The thrust of it is, if the three of you are together, we need to give notice to all of the entities who have requested notice, which we've done, just like we do with any action meeting. We can call it a work session. We still have to follow the formalities of COMA. Calling it a work session doesn't change the fact that we have to follow COMA when the three of you meet. But those are the minimum requirements. Give notice to the public, especially the people who have requested to receive notice each time the three of you meet together, and to have a public meeting and have the ultimate decisions you make on items that come before the commission made in a public forum where the public, the media, can see exactly what are those decisions you make, whether we're talking about recycling, which is going to be on the agenda today, whether we talk about a specific contract or a specific resolution. I think the idea to have work sessions is to discuss in more in depth and detail more significant issues from time to time as they come up, like recycling, and then to have the action taken during an action meeting after that. So beyond those COMA issues, some things to think about: do you want it streamed or not? At times you're going to want the meeting streamed because you're going to want the public to know about an issue that's coming up. Sometimes more we're going to be talking about what I would call inside baseball, some things that might be boring to people, but it may be interesting to see how the county operates on a certain issue. Certainly when you go to different locations than this location, it's very difficult to stream at that point. Probably you wouldn't stream if, for example, you had a work session over at the courthouse to take a look at the ongoing renovation project there, or if you had other locations that you traveled to during your work session. We would still provide notice to the public and to the media where you will be and the purpose of what you will be doing, and that will comply with COMA. But you don't have to stream from those other locations. So it's really up to you whether to stream or not, and how you want to conduct them. And I think a lot of it's going to have to do with the purpose of the meeting for that particular day. And I think it's going to be like moving into this new building. There are going to be some things we're going to figure out as we go, and there probably will be some things that we need to figure out as we go with these work sessions, and we'll work our way through it.
Okay. But I want to be clear, we will not be taking any official action on any business here, and we're not going to be doing executive sessions. So this is just it's purely a work session, so anyway. But it will allow our department heads and other staff to do presentations, and I think that would be very constructive. I do have a question. With COMA laws, if we say we want to go over to the courthouse and see how construction's coming along, are we violating any COMA laws by doing that?
No, you're not. You just need to provide the same notice that you always provide and identify where you're going to be and at what time you're going to start.
Okay.
So particularly any members of the public or the media, if they want to follow along in what you learn, they can do that.
Okay. All right. One of the things I want to talk about is public comment. We're not allowed, or I mean, that's up to us if we want to have public comment and.
Correct. You're not required under COMA or the Kansas Open Meetings Act to allow public comment. You can decide whether you want to do it or not. You can decide whether to put limitations on it or not. Those limitations are typically either time limitations or content limitations. Sometimes you'll see a body saying, well, if you're going to do public comment, it has to be germane to an issue before the board for consideration either that day or an upcoming issue. It's not a forum to get up and talk about the federal government or whatever, something that has nothing to do with us at the moment. But you can decide to allow public comment and allow people to come in and say whatever. The rules are literally up to you to decide because you're not required to provide it.
And we can say, okay, you have 5 minutes, and that's.
You can put a time limit on it. You could vote to extend that time limit if you thought the information was helpful. It is all up to you.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Cook?
My request would be that we have the proposals or request for a work session submitted to Susie Oliva, the administrative assistant, by Thursday at noon. That would be the same schedule that we would have already established. It would be to the discretion of the chair as to what we discuss on a given work session. Work session requests can come from department heads or members of the public, community groups. We would start the meetings at 9 o'clock on Monday. The public comment would have to be germane to the topics being discussed, and I would think that a 5-minute time limit would be appropriate for a work session.
Okay.
And that we would be live streamed as much as practicable. So if we are not here, that would not be practicable. But if we are here, it would be, not here being the chambers. And I would agree that, there's no executive session that follows a work session, and that anything that's discussed here is not binding to future action items that may come before the county.
Okay. Would you want people, you said 5 minutes would be a good limit for speaking. Would you want them to sign in?
I think that it would be appropriate to sign in so that we have a roll call of who wants to speak.
Okay.
And that would follow the same procedure that we already have in place.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, we're not making any decisions here today on this because that's not allowed. However, I'm kind of partial to just leaving public comment to the discretion of the chair. I mean, if somebody comes in and wants to talk for 10 minutes, I'm apt to let them if we don't have 100 other people wanting to talk also. But, I mean, again, I think I don't know if we need to put it in writing necessarily. A lot of that's, I think, covered in the resolution that we passed a week or two ago, right?
Well, this is Jim Crowell again, Shawnee County Counselor. The question is, do these changes need to put in the organizational resolution? I would recommend it to start out with at least what you know that you want permanently, or for items left to the discretion of the chair, I would at least say that. And what I would recommend is that we put a little more detail in our organizational resolution related to work sessions, just so that everybody involved within the county and in the public sort of know the ground rules of what we're doing.
Okay. That's probably a good idea, just to have some ground rules, and we can always expand someone's speaking time if we'd like.
You can always
We can do
expand
that.
speaking time. You can change any rule you want in the future if you find that a certain way of doing things is not working the way you intended.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
may.
yes.
So, obviously, like, when I look at our agenda for today, there's just 2 items. Do we have the ability to have sort of a miscellaneous? In our regular meetings, we've always had administrative communications where department heads who may not be on the agenda have the opportunity to come and speak before us on things. I assume that we're not always going to know what issues are before us by Thursday at noon. So, I mean, is that something we can do as well?
Absolutely. You can have a permanent item on this work session agenda for administrative communications. And I'll just note that more recently, it's been a while, but more recently we've separated out administrative communications from public comment. And so you may want to delineate that so there's no confusion regarding what that term means for a work session versus an action meeting.
Okay.
All right. We'll set up some rules. Commissioner Cook, anything else?
No?
I think being somewhat flexible here at the beginning, and we'll wade through this, and I'm sure there'll be some growing pains as we go, but we can work that out as we go. All right, any other discussion on this?
Is there a dress code? I mean, are we still in suits and ties? Is it?
I'm not gonna wear a tie for these. I don't
Okay.
know. I put one on today because I have other meetings today where I kind of need one. So anyway, no, I think this could be a little more relaxed. Commissioner Cook, you were looking dapper here. I
Well.
mean, you're gonna continue to wear a tie?
Probably so.
I thought. All right. All right, well, let's move on to the next item on our agenda. We have Bill Sutton here. We're getting into this opt-in, opt-out trash recycling for our refuge. And I know there's been some confusion out there, so I think anytime we can get a little more information out there to the general public of what we're doing, it's probably to our benefit. So I'll let you talk a little bit about where we're at in the process.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. On January 23 of 21-23, the annals of Shawnee County history will reflect this is the 100th anniversary of a new era in commission meetings. I alone had the distinct honor and privilege of being the first speaker at the Shawnee County work sessions, and it is truly unfortunate that the official scribe is not here to be present and memorialize this event. I'd like to thank those in attendance this morning that came out to lend their support. However, I'm not naive enough to think that they came to witness such a spectacular information of the department, however, to observe with a morbid fascination the unfolding of today's events. Since there is not an established protocol for today's meeting, as the pioneer, I have adopted a continuance of a widely accepted decorum and professional standards that we have come to expect from members presenting in front of the commission. And I only hope that those that come after me will continue the legacy. So, for today's meeting, I've constructed a very quick slide deck, just presenting an update to the recycling and the things that have unfolded in about the past 2.5 weeks. So, with that, all right, I'll lead off. Everybody's seen this slide, but I will lead off with it again. The Shawnee County Solid Waste is a user fee funded and receives no taxpayer assistance to fund its operation. Basically, there's 3 lines of business within the solid waste. We have the refuse or trash, we have the recycling, and we have the household hazardous waste. I receive funding for the department from 2 methods: user fees, so what people pay me to come pick up their stuff, and the landfill host fee, which is $2.50 per ton of any amount of trash that goes out into the landfill, and it's been that way for a long time. We are here specifically today because back in December or November, I can't remember which, we had a recycling presentation and we discussed the 4 options for the recycling program within the department. One was just totally doing away with it. One was to continue status quo. One was to make everybody pay for it. And then one was to only make those who participate in the program pay for recycling. Got a little bit ahead of myself here. As everybody is aware, the recycling contract, the 10-year recycling contract with WM, formerly known as Waste Management, ended December 31st of 2022. That contract was favorable to the county in the financial terms, and the new contract became very unfavorable financially. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. So we could not, the new contract was unsustainable financially for the department, so we had to do something drastic to offset the cost that for this new contract. All right, so for the customers, at the end of the year, I had 48,793 customers. That's what we ended the year with. All right, with the help of Shawnee County IT and their web department, we instilled a feature on the web page that was a simple form to opt out. That's how you opt out of recycling. And to answer a few questions, why are we opting out as opposed to opting in? Because the department did not track recycling customers starting back in 2012, because it was a free service that was provided to the customers. So there was no tracking of who had what recycling bin. So the only way that we could do this is impose the $3.50 on all of our customers, and then they can opt out. It's not the best way to do it, but it's the most efficient way that we had at our disposal to do this. So with the help of the IT department, we did this opt-out feature, and as of this morning, 1,949 customers have opted out of recycling. That leaves me 46,844 customers, which is exactly a 3.99% decrease in customers to date from the end of December. First couple weeks was just immense, the amount of traffic that we was getting, but starting like last February, or not last Wednesday, it really started tailing off, the calls and the opt-out submissions on. So we might, if I was a betting person, we might end up around that 46,000, maybe a little bit when the dust all settles, which I'm fine with. All right. As far as the customers, this is a very rudimentary map of where the customers were that are opting out. As you can see, it's pretty much all across the board countywide. And just to kind of dial in a little bit, kind of where we expected. And, you know, a lot in the central Oakland area, south, even out in the west, pretty much all over the city, we've had customers opting out. All right. As far as what we want from our customers for recycling, nothing has changed. We pulled the single stream containers right at the first year, and the reason we did that, it wasn't just 45th and Shawnee Heights being a problem. Starting in January, I started paying a significant amount of money for single stream. And why offer a service that's costing me when everybody else is going to pay for it? So it really didn't make sense, so we pulled those containers. But nothing really has changed in terms of what we want to see for recycling. As you see here, and I'll kind of highlight this if I can, maybe. There we go. All right, starting now, I am paying that $149 per ton processing fee, where in the past, it was only a $50 processing fee. So that is going to be driving my cost for recycling immensely. You can see the rebate going just off this calculation is for every ton that goes across the scales to the MRF, I'll end up paying $106. And that's based a little bit on the market, but mostly that fixed processing fee. Using December tonnage of 683 tons, that is what I took to the MRF in December. My December invoice was a little over $12,000 to Waste Management. If I use those same 683 tons for this month, my bill to Waste Management, or WM, will be $62,000. That's why we're really trying to eliminate, one, the contamination, those convenience boxes, which is a major source of contamination and expense, and just to get people to recycle smartly and to pay for their fair share. And the more things that we have done within the department is working with Stephanie Coleman, that works here in the commission. We have redesigned a lot of our flyers and a lot of our media that we can distribute both via social media sites and on our webpage. If you have ever clicked on any of these links, they were very old data. They were copies of copies of copies, something like you've seen in 7th grade, the old Memorex. It was horrible. So working with Steph, we really cleaned this up. Got some good graphic products out there. I encourage everybody to come over here and see what is new. All right, and I see Commissioner Rippon has one of our new flyers. And here's just kind of some of the flyers we got out there. Some new rules, glass locations, what can and cannot be recycled. We've cleaned that up, gave some more pictographs on there. And then with our recycling guide, kind of highlighting some of the things that the department does, as well out there at HHW, what we take out there as well. Things that we, and so what's going on with my convenience boxes? We are converting those over to cardboard. Cardboard is what most of the residents generate in the county. And so we will provide that service back out to the community. Cardboard is revenue generating for me. Clean cardboard is revenue. If it's mixed, it becomes that single stream, which costs me money. So clean cardboard is revenue generating, and we will be putting containers back out there for cardboard only on a trial basis. Obviously, if they start getting just to be nuisance, like we'll just say 45th and Shawnee Heights, we'll have to do something different.
Bill, when you say clean cardboard, you're talking about just pure cardboard, not like a cereal box, but a...
Yes, just OCC, they call it OCC, old corrugated cardboard. So basically boxes. People get Amazon boxes, delivery boxes of that type. We just want the boxes. So no paper, no film, no styrofoam, just boxes. Because what...
Can we clarify though, that he's asking, I believe, about non-corrugated cardboard, like when it has like a glossy frame.
Yes,
on
so
one
like
side.
a cereal box.
Yeah.
A cereal box would be categorized as mixed paper. So we do not want that. We just want
Okay.
pure boxes, because what happens is the MRF still processes what they call dump and bale. So they'll bring in one of these containers and they'll dump it right on the belt and they will bale it. And so therefore, that transportation cost going to Kansas City and that processing fee is not involved because everything happens right there. So if it's clean cardboard, it can be dumped and baled right there, and it becomes a cardboard commodity as opposed to a mixed paper.
Bill, don't you think that the reason why you had to remove all of those big containers, whether it's from Shawnee Heights or from Auburn fire departments, is that they were unsupervised and you had people that were coming in and abusing the rules?
Absolutely, sir.
And so even if you put a convenience container back out, if it's unsupervised, don't we still run the same risk of people that are going to abuse it and then contaminate the entire load?
So again, sir, we're going to try it on I have faith in humanity. We are going to try it on a trial basis. So I will use Silver Lake, the community of Silver Lake and Rossville as an example, and even Auburn. Silver Lake and Rossville were unsupervised, and we had very little trash or contamination there, as well as Auburn. So they actually gave us clean single stream. So we're moving these containers, 45th and Shawnee Heights, it'll go out to the golf course. It'll be behind a locked gate at night, so the access will be limited. Auburn will be limited. District 4 will be limited access. So hopefully we don't see that, fingers crossed, that illegal dumping where those mixed loads.
Are you planning on having one out at the North Annex where your office is at?
I can put one out there. I mean, there's plenty of room out there. We just have to figure out the traffic flow, because obviously we don't want people driving willy-nilly through the yard and whatnot.
What about at the house that is household hazardous
Yes.
waste?
We do plan on putting some out there, because again, that is behind a locked gate with limited access and some observation.
Bill, before we did curbside recycling, we used to have some satellite areas where you could drop off your recycle, but for cardboard, they had it wasn't an open top type container. You had a slit.
Correct.
So your cardboard had to be flat, and you had to slide. And are we going to have kind of a system like that?
I do have a photo, it's my last photo, of what the new boxes look like. Those will limit the amount of contamination, but what it does is kind of like a mail slot.
Yeah.
And you put the boxes in, and then next thing you know, you have a pile of boxes right here. You can't get any more in, but there's a lot of space back there. So there's pros and cons to having those thin slits. And we can easily convert ours over if we need to.
You know, Bill, I know that you're always subject to abuse and you believe in humanity, and that's admirable. But if I went and bought a TV and I've got all of the styrofoam that packed in around the TV, now I've got to find a place to put the styrofoam. If you had a trash or receptacle that I could put the non-recyclable things into, your Amazon box, you talk about that. That comes with peanuts and pack material and paper. You know, if you had said, look, throw your trash here, put your recycling here. That, I mean, again, helps people out so that they know where to put the right materials. But you're always subject to people that are going to abuse it. They're going to pull up with a whole truckload or trailer load of trash, and they're going to think that's a free dump day.
Yes, sir. We will take that in consideration. I do know that the potential for what you just mentioned occurring is high, and people will take advantage of that.
Does it have to be free? I mean, if you take a truckload of stuff to the dump, what does it cost now? It's like pretty expensive, $75 or something like that.
The last time I checked, it was 94 and some change.
Yeah, and you got to drive all the way up there to do it. I mean, what if we parked a truck with a compactor and a loader and everything at a location and charge people $5 or $10 to drop things off?
That might, I'd have to do some checking, but that might fall into the terms of establishing a transfer station, and transfer stations are permitted and regulated. So there might be some gray area there. I'd have to check.
I just think if they're, you know, if it's a truck there,
Right.
or a big dumpster and a truck comes and empties it periodically throughout the day, it's not there at night. when it's unsupervised, and we won't have people, coming up at, 2 in the morning, dropping off, a load of carpet that they tore out of a junk house or something, I mean, it just seems like we've got to figure out a way to do it. The illegal dumping is bad.
Right. And I will say that I was talking to the employees up there at Household Hazardous Waste. A lot of non-Shawnee County residents used those facilities up there. They would come in from our neighboring counties just because that was the closest one, because apparently it's not offered recycling is not offered in some respects in those neighboring counties, so they'd want to come over here. Were they the problem? I don't know. But we do know that there was some visitors from outside the county coming and utilizing our facilities. All right. Again, nothing's changed about what we want in our single stream. It's right there on the lid. This is a photograph of our lid. We just want plastic bottles, cardboard, chipboard, magazines, and then cans, metal and aluminum cans. As you can see, no glass, no styrofoam, electronics, none of that stuff goes into the recycling container at all. All right, talking about glass recycling real quick. We established glass recycling back in June of 2020. It has been very successful. Been very pleased with the amount of glass that we are recycling. We have got that out of the single stream, and we're actually doing a very good job partnering with Ripple. I think last year is right around 218 tons that we recycled through our program, and currently have 8 sites out there, Auburn, Rossville, Silver Lake, 46th Street, and then 4 here in the city with that one out there at the golf course. And then finally, what our cardboard bins will look like. They'll be bright yellow. They're a change away from that baby blue, so they'll kind of stand out. You'll see the cardboard only labeling all over it. So again, this is what the customers will be seeing. This one just got finished up today. We're not going to put it out there yet, but we do want to we're in a process of getting these painted up, so they will stand out. People will notice them, and faith in humanity, knock on wood, they will only be used for cardboard only. All right. That, gentlemen, is my last slide. I stand by for your questions.
Okay. People live in apartments. Their trash, I think, is generally paid for through their rent, right? Is that
Yes.
the way they do? Do they opt in or opt out, or is it
This question has come up several times. Basically, it comes along of, I live in an apartment, my apartment doesn't recycle, what can I do? For those people that really want to recycle, I would say approach, it's admirable that you want to recycle, but approach your landlord or your housing management about getting some type of recycling program. I would love to offer free, but however, as I demonstrated, that free option is no longer sustainable for the department.
Another question, on on the top of our recycle dumpsters, we have some graphics on there that show, some of that has changed over the last year or so. Is there a chance of putting a new sticker on there or something that?
We are pursuing some options there. The latest lids, this lid here with this graphic, we started back in 2020 because we removed the glass on there. The old lids still have the little glass emblem on there. Again, if I have 46,000 lids out there, these are actually printed on there. They're not a sticker. So we'd have to buy basically 46,000 stickers and lay them on there. We are working through some grant proposal, and that's one of the things that we're including on that grant is signage or stickerage, if that's a word, to go out there and re-sticker some of these containers with updated information.
Bill, these graphics, this is all good information, but how are we going to disseminate all this out to the public? Do we have
One, through social media. Two, HHW handouts on their first Saturday. They always hand out flyers out there, but that's only hitting about 80 people. We used to have some good visibility at the, lawn and garden show. Obviously, that's not occurring this year. We just, any way, shape, or form that we can get the word out, my friends in the media, all right, they can get the word out however we can.
Okay. And you said on your updating, is this the updated graphic, or are you going to be updating this graphic?
This is the latest graphic.
Well, you've got pizza boxes on it, and last time we had a presentation, they said pizza boxes are now accepted.
You are correct, sir. So again, this was around 2020. That news that was presented to us was November 2022. And then he's also talked about grocery bags. That technology might emerge where they start accepting grocery bags. So it's an evolving technology. Obviously, our lids did not evolve with the latest.
Bill, you mentioned the contract that we have with WM. The length of that contract was something that we had talked about. Didn't we end up just kind of on as a temporary basis and are going to have to revisit that soon?
So what occurred was they gave us a 3-month extension of the old contract at a different rate. So my rate went to 139 as opposed to that 149. And then I talked to Tom at the end of December. There's some other language we wanted to get in there, kind of a sliding scale with the contamination. If we can get our contamination down, the processing fee will go down. So we're going to circle back there. Again, it's a 90-day extension, so we have till the end of the year or end of March to get it done, and then we'll go from there.
One of the things that was frustrating last time is that we didn't have any time to react really, and so I think it'd be good if we kind of get moving on that. The sooner better. Sooner the better. Got some folks locked out there. And then I have one other question also. You mentioned the number of folks that are opting out of their existing recycling coverage, but has there been enough time that we have data on the number of people opting out as they call in to set up new service? So, let's just say somebody buys a house, they're calling in to set up their water and trash bill and everything. Are they being asked if they want recycling?
Yes. City of Topeka does all of our billing inside the city limits or on city water. And back prior to this, it was just given to you. But now that question is being asked. Do you want to recycle for an additional $3.50? I'm not tracking that data. The data's there. I'm not capturing it at the present moment.
And follow up also, the people that have opted out, do we have an extra 2,000 containers sitting up at the at your facility now, or?
So that's a very good question. So the way this is working, we're asking the customers as soon as they hit that button to opt out. So we'll just say Commissioner Rippon says, I'm not going to pay $3.50 to recycle. He hits submit. We're asking him to continue to use that recycle bin as he was until we get there to pick it up. Because obviously, if I have 1,900 people, I just can't go pick up 1,900 cans just like that. So it's we picked up to date around 450. So we can do about 200 a week. So it's going to take us a minute to get through all these. And what we're doing is we're cleaning them up. If they're serviceable, we're putting them back into the inventory with a trash lid on it or a black lid, and then we can just use those as a trash container again.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Questions?
I think it's just going to be a lot of work there's going to need to be a lot of work put into the communication and education piece.
Yes.
Relying on social media, relying on just handing it out at the household hazardous waste, even just the media partners, that's just it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I think there just needs to be a lot more education, a lot more communication from everybody involved, waste management, and from the Shawnee County solid waste, just get to the right messaging. One of the things that I've learned is, what is wanted changes. Sometimes the corrugated cardboard is the thing they want. Other times it's the plastics, depending on what the market is. And so being responsive to that as well.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's the great unknown. You don't know what the market's gonna do for plastic and whatnot, and things could flip over. It might be profitable again, we don't know. I had one other question, kind of not related to recycling. We had a trash truck fire the other day. Was that a fire that was started by something in the trash, or was that from the truck? Or?
No, that was, so that occurred Friday, a little bit at past noon, and that was something that was in the load.
Really?
And that was down in Gary Ornsby and Montero Parkway, so that little intersection right there by Mars. We don't know what caused it. We had a good enough response from the fire department that we saved the truck. So just a little bit of damage paint-wise. We just throw some paint on there, fix the hole they cut inside there, and we'll be good to go.
Maybe a battery or something?
Battery, I mean, I've seen chemical fires, I've seen battery fires, seen, a hot load that somebody dumped embers in or something like that. So without getting into it forensically, we just
All right.
clean it up.
Just wondered
Would
if
like
it
to
was-
thank Public Works for their great effort in getting that area cleaned up. They came out there, responded quite well, and then can't even tell we was out there.
Okay. Any other comments? All right.
I can think of.
I think we're adjourned. Well, let me ask if any of you have any items you'd like to hear from. I know I talked to Kurt Niehaus and talking about some of our public works projects for next Monday. We have some bridge issues we need to discuss and some decisions we need to make in regard to that. But I didn't know if you had any items you wanted to look at, or I know we talked about maybe going over to the courthouse and seeing how that renovation project's moving along, and so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's something we definitely need to do at some point, meet the contractor across the street, and go over that stuff. I mean, at some point, we're gonna want every department. I mean, the DOC needs to come in and talk about some of the things they've got going on, the health department. I mean, I think this is an opportunity for everybody to kind of come in and go a little bit more in depth than what we have done on historically, so.
All right. Okay, well,
I think you wanted to have some of your advisory boards come in, or appointees to boards come in as well.
that'd be very good. Okay, well, we'll line some up. And, so I guess we're adjourned for today, and.
Is there any administrative, you want to see if there's any administrative
Oh.
communications?
Do we have anybody from our administration, any of our administration department heads that'd like to speak about anything?
Well, I saw the election office just showed up.
Yeah, the election office, yeah.
I know that K-State is doing their K-State 105 tour throughout town the last couple days, and I know today they're visiting the health department. Is that correct? Did you want to kind of speak about that a little bit?
Good morning. Teresa Fisher, Director of the Health Department. Yes, K-State President and a group from the university are in town today. I will be presenting as part of the Mobile Access Partnership in conjunction with all of the partners that make that group up. We'll be at Grace Point Cathedral this afternoon. The units will be set up. They'll be receiving an overview of what the Mobile Access Partnership is and how the partners play a role in it.
What time will that be? Is that 2:30?
They are due to arrive, I believe, 2:30 to 3:30. They are on a tight schedule.
All right.
Commissioner Rippon, do you want to check to see if the media, since they're the only non-county people present, have any comment?
All right. This is your, seeing none?
They all look real eager.
All right.
All right, so I guess now we're adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.